My family used to call me a failure long before I ever truly failed at anything. It began with small comparisons and quiet disappointments that slowly turned into labels. My father, Richard, was a strict and disciplined man who believed success only comes from stable jobs and fixed salaries. For nearly 3 decades, he worked the same government position, waking up early every morning, ironing his clothes perfectly, and living by routine. In his mind, security meant respect. My mother, Sarah, was gentle and caring, but deeply afraid of society's judgment. She loved me, but her silence often stood on my father's side. My older brother, Henry, was the golden child, an engineer with promotions, bonuses, and constant praise from relatives. He was everything my father admired: practical, confident, and predictable. And then there was me, Aaron the dreamer, the creative one who believed in digital marketing, storytelling, and building brands online. To my family, my passion looked like laziness. After graduation, when I didn't secure a job immediately, the atmosphere at home changed. 3 months passed, then 6. Relatives asked uncomfortable questions at gatherings. I could see the embarrassment on my father's face before he even spoke. One evening at dinner, he put his spoon down and calmly said, "You don't think practically. You are becoming a failure." The word failure stayed with me long after the plates were cleared. That night, I sat alone in my room questioning myself. Maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't strong enough. But instead of fighting back with arguments, I chose a different path. I chose action. I found a low-paying internship at a small marketing agency. The office was tiny, the walls plain, the chairs uncomfortable, and the salary almost embarrassing. When I told Richard, he shook his head in disappointment. But I went anyway. My boss didn't care about my background. He only cared about results. I worked longer hours than anyone else. I stayed after everyone left. I learned graphic design software, studied consumer psychology, analyzed successful brands, and practiced writing persuasive campaigns. Slowly, my ideas began bringing real results. A struggling bakery doubled its orders. A clothing store's social media grew rapidly. I wasn't just working, I was building skill, confidence, and resilience. At home, however, I was still introduced as trying something. Henry's achievements were celebrated loudly. Mine were invisible. But I kept going. Years later, a national company noticed my work and offered me a high-paying position. When I placed the offer letter in front of Richard, he read it carefully, adjusting his glasses. His voice was softer when he asked, "This is permanent?" It was the first crack in his certainty. Soon after, life shifted again, his health declined, and he had to retire early. The steady income he trusted for decades disappeared. Quietly, without reminding anyone of the past, I stepped up. I paid medical bills. I managed household expenses. I became the support system of the family. The defining moment came during a major corporate conference. Where I was leading a presentation, I invited my family. They sat in the audience as I confidently explained strategies, financial growth charts, and brand positioning to executives. I answered tough questions without hesitation. When the applause filled the hall, I looked at Richard. He was standing, clapping with pride. That night, he came to my room and said something simple but powerful. "Aaron, I was wrong about you." For a man who rarely admitted mistakes, those words meant everything. Sarah hugged me with tears in her eyes, and even Henry smiled differently, not as a competitor, but as a brother. In the end, my success was not revenge, it was growth. I learned that sometimes family calls you a failure not because you lack ability, but because they measure you through their own fears. They cannot see what they have never experienced. I stopped trying to make them understand and focused on becoming undeniable. And the boy once labeled as the family disappointment became the strongest pillar of the house. Not because he wanted to prove them wrong, but because he refused to give up on himself.